Reviewer in the Bathrobe / Red Heron Society read the book by Stephen King, The Long Walk.
Everybody want to say hi?
Hi,
Please
I'm
like
Mary.
and subscribe. Hit the notification bell
Two of
and
them at a
thumbs
time
up.
or what?
I got a big mouth. You surely don't.
But
It helps the channel.
how are you guys doing
Thank you
today?
very
We're
much.
here at our lovely friend Michelle's house today, and we're going to be talking about the book, The Long Walk. I know some of us. I read through it, and I originally wanted to read this because I saw a trailer for the movie they're making about it, and also I talked to another friend about it, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be good. And it is a Stephen King book. I know it's written under his pen name, David Bachman. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I got the audiobook, and when they played all that stuff at the beginning, I thought maybe I downloaded the wrong thing.
He said, I think you got the wrong thing, but it was him talking
It
about
explains about David Bachner.
his surname, yes.
Yeah.
And how he killed him.
Yeah.
Ruined it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the media killed him.
Yeah, it did. Well, they pretty much
Pretty
found
much.
out what it was about. I mean, the book was nothing like. Well, it was a little bit what I thought the movie might be about. Like, what did you guys think of what it was?
I had a hard time with it. This was not the book for me. I just had to struggle through it.
Yeah, it was okay.
It's not one I will be reading again. That way.
Well, it reminded me a lot of like the Hunger Games concept.
Yeah.
So it kind of almost felt too like, I've already heard this story before a little bit. You know, it's like, and I hated how it ended. Hated the ending.
Yeah,
Because it was too confusing. It was like, is it
Yeah,
over
that's
or not? Where's the other chapter?
Yeah. Did he win? They don't have a party or say anything, or is it just was weird?
Because they talked the whole time about what you're going to want to get if you win.
Yeah.
What you're going to ask for. But then they never say if you asked for anything, or if you actually won, or if he was just elucidating.
It's like it trickled off. I can't explain
Like,
it.
did he really win, or did he die, or and
They
he's
don't
just
tell you.
hallucinating? It's like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It was super Stephen King-y.
Yeah, I know that's. And I mean, we were talking about the. I don't know what you want to say. Raunchiness of it.
Yeah, the
or-
raunchiness.
Yeah, it did. There was just one chapter.
Was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, I know Stephen King he's known for that sort of stuff, but this is
It was
sort of,
unnecessary. It seemed forced.
yes.
Now I've only read. This is the third Stephen King book I've read.
It's on my
I
side.
read The Stand, which I don't remember if it had some cussing or stuff in it. I don't remember, but it captured me. It was good, just the typical good versus evil.
Yeah.
You know, was that one. And then Matt told me about Fairy Tale, which was another
That
Stephen
is
King.
an absolute.
I would read it again and again and again. It was awesome. But this book,
The only other thing I've read by Stephen King was his autobiography.
oh, I haven't read that either.
I did.
I think it was called On Writing. Is that what
I
it's
don't
called?
remember what it was called, but oh my gosh.
His childhood was terrifying. It's no wonder his stuff's so messed up.
Really?
He had
Okay.
a weird childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would do it then.
I mean, he was hitchhiking when he was 9.
Oh
and,
my goodness.
Like, his parents never told him anything was impossible. They were like, he'd grab up a bunch of 2x4s and some nails, and they're like, what are you doing? Well, I'm going out back to build a hot air balloon. And they would say, like, well, don't leave nails in the yard. They never told him you can't build a balloon
Right.
with wood.
They just said don't leave your stuff laying around.
And so, like he and his siblings just grew up really in a fanciful world where they just, didn't have, nobody really told them anything was impossible.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fascinating. Blew out the power to the whole block doing something one day. I forget what they did. Something. They were concocting something in their kitchen, and they ended up like shorting out something that blew out the transformer for their whole block.
That's great.
The
But The Long Walk, I don't know. I give it a 2.
yeah.
That's how I'm at.
I may give it a
Maybe a 3, but not
yeah.
together.
That's what I would say. A 3.
There were times where I was really interested.
Yeah,
I was
it did catch a little bit.
Well, I wanted to hear the story about the scar, you know, how the guy got the scar on his face. You know, I was really interested in that, and I was interested in, like, you know,
certain ideas that there was like the one guy, his wife, he had a pregnant wife,
that's terrible.
and then but yet he went voluntarily. That's the one thing about it. Well, there's one thing, the difference between this and the Hunger Games is, I think they volunteer, or they put themselves in like a lottery, but it's not like
And
the
if you
Hunger
choose, you
Games
win, not
lottery.
lose.
Yeah, the Hunger Games is the opposite.
Yeah.
The other thing was, though, that I thought I would have liked to have understood why. I didn't think they really ever explained why anybody chose to run the race. Like, you know, I assumed they were poor. They kind of implied that by how they were dressed and what they said. But, you know, I just never understood why, like, they never said why he chose to do it or why anybody, you know, like, they never really explained. I would have liked to understand, like, their motivation a little more.
They talked about somewhat they talked about politics. They talked about you know, capitalism, and they talked about communism in the book too. Like I think they said his father, the main character's father, had somehow got red flagged about talking about communism or something. Or at least they did.
Yeah, they called it something. It wasn't red flag. What did they call it when they took him away?
Yeah. So there's like.
So they don't know if he's dead or alive or somewhere in prison.
Yeah.
Or he's just gone.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
And so I don't. So yeah, there were interesting parts of this book, but then again, when it come down to those boys, I mean, I know they're, you know, boys and, you know,
Young boys, so you can about imagine we're all much of that.
I mean,
list.
some of them weren't. I mean, some of them were in probably their teens, and then some of them were, I think, older. There was 100 of them or something, I believe. And I thought they were going to be walking all across the country. No, they're only walking from one point of Maine. Of course, it has to be in Maine.
Well, I
big
think
state.
they could have walked across the country if anybody could have done it. Yeah.
I think some people have.
But not without stopping.
Yeah,
this is constant.
They have. That's another thing.
It didn't say when they slept.
They said they walk when
They just kept walking.
There was some that was confusing too. How did these people sleep while they're walking? I'm like, how do you do that?
Well, it really only lasted how many days? What, 3 or 4 days?
It sounded like it lasted longer. I mean, I don't know
I mean,
how.
people can go a lot of days without sleeping. I mean, you don't want to. I've done it. You know, it's not fun, but.
I don't know how.
And I think that was part of why all the boys were so irritable. And it got worse and worse because they're deteriorating as far as being exhausted, and they did feed them along the way. They gave them things to eat along the way, and they hydrated them, but they were exhausted just from the going and going and going. And so then they started biting at each other with crazy stuff, and I think that's why it got so raunchy that one day. It was like, gee.
But that was kind of early.
That was early.
Well, it was a little bit. Yeah, it was a little bit early. I mean, and then there was the girls. There were two things about there was the girls that like lashed out at the one guy and she like made out with him. I think it was because she wanted to because
Because they were basically like movie stars or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well,
famous. They wanted to be able to say that you
get
made
their
out.
piece of the pie before the.
Well, it was weird how they kept, how he bought his ticket, and they acted like it was like a, and it's like, oh, that is not okay. That means you get shot.
That's yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't know the premise, it basically these people, it was boys. It was all boys. And if they stop walking, or if you don't keep up a certain pace, you're given like 3 warnings, and then basically I don't know if they're soldiers or police or what, they come out and they shoot you.
Just shoot you. There you are, done.
And then
it was a weird book. It was just
weird. I mean, I like Stephen King, but this was. Well, it's not one of the weirdest, but it
was certainly weird.
Yeah. like she said, she gave it a 2. I give it a 3. I do think the movie is going to be very different because I don't see
It better be.
I don't see them. I don't ever see how they would be able to put anything, hardly anything about what this book talked about.
Well, I think that he talked at the beginning about like the Running Man.
Yes.
That movie was nothing like what the book was. That it was like the main character was supposed to be some scrawny kid, not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know, so they're saying that, you know, I just after hearing that, I think that they'll probably really do this a lot different. But a lot of the boys in the story, he really described them pretty thoroughly.
Yes,
like you could picture them in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so
He's good. Stephen King's real
I
good
think they
about
would
that.
have to stay with that. Like some of the people are going to have to. I think it would just really ruin it if, you know, they didn't keep them. But maybe it'd make it better because if it's only a 3, you know, at best.
For what the trailers described, it does look on par with what some of it describes in the book, but I still do not see like what happens with the boys along the way with what they do. No, I don't see that happening in there because I'm like, that would almost, I don't know, that would make it an X-rated.
They do a lot of awful stuff in movies these days.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Or allude to it at least.
Yeah, or even some of the stuff they say. I mean, that would almost have to be like HBO or some kind of special thing, because I don't see how they would get that into theaters.
It'll definitely have an R rating.
Maybe an R rating if they do that way, but I don't know. I mean, like my favorite so far of Stephen King's writing was the Dark Tower series, and they say the Dark Tower sort of links all of his books together.
That's interesting.
I will recommend anybody read that series. I know there's some really raunchy stuff sometimes. It was in the beginning of that, but it was good. But
I probably will pass.
Yeah.
So.
Ready to wrap?
Yeah, we're ready to wrap. So, is there anything else you guys want to say, or do you want to?
No, I'm interested in seeing the movie, so
I think I would.
you know, just because we read the book, and I want to see if it.
So do you think he won?
I want to say he does, but it seems like he was at the end of the book. It seemed like he was walking past, like, you know how they say you walk into this bright light. But that's what it seemed like. That was what
He walked off into the
Do you
sunset.
think he won?
I don't know. I don't
know, that's
understand.
what,
It
I
just
hate that. I like my books with a neat little bow at the end.
I need it tied up.
I do a little bit, yeah.
That's probably maybe it goes back down to it too, thinking about that.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
The one thing about
I think they'll have to
Stephen,
end the movie better.
what?
They'll have
Or
to end the
is
movie better.
Stephen, is he going to have another book and
Which maybe-
continue this on?
Which
I
maybe
know.
if you see the movie and you could see what was actually happening, you could like suppose a few more things and make a better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do know this. I think we were talking about this yesterday. The general. I don't remember what you said, what you thought he reminded you of, but I think the general is being played by. Oh gosh, who was? Who?
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker. I can't remember it.
Steve Hamill, right?
Huh?
Steve
Mark.
Hamill.
Mark Hamill. And we both like, I don't see him being this general.
I see the general being more my age, like not my parents' age.
And somebody that evokes terror when you see
You
them or their
smell that,
name is
Grandma?
what I think of.
You smell that, Grandma?
Fresh bread. All right.
But yeah, Mark Hamill's going to be in this, and
so we'll see.
yeah, and then
I probably won't be watching it.
We'll
I'll
let
get
you know
them to
if it's
tell me
worth
if he
it.
wins or not. And then,
Martha, it's okay. Come here.
that's our review, dog. But that's a good boy. Yeah, one thing about Stephen King's writing, he's very repetitive. But saying that, we'll cut this off and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep reading.
Reviewer in a Bathrobe / Red Heron Society read the book by Stephen King, The Long Walk. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and the thumbs up. It's not much, but it helps the channel tremendously. Thank you very much.